All right, we are back. Legendary Talks with the amazing Wouri Vice. We had a little technical difficulty. I think this time is going to work. Really excited to chat with him. He's like a really unique, amazing, cool guy that I love. So he has a really interesting story and a really unique perspective on things. Fabulousness and fashion. Can't wait to chat with him. He'll be joining us in a second. How's everybody doing? He and I already decided that our drinking word tonight is going to be New York. So anytime we mention New York, we'll be taking a sip, anyone included. What are y'all drinking? I'm drinking tequila. What are y'all drinking? Let me know. What's up, Elizabeth? Let me know what you guys are drinking. And he's going to have a really unique story that I can't wait to share with y'all. He just joined. He's asking to request, so we're going to get him on right now. The legendary Wouri Vice. Excitement. Hi. Is that better?
That is better. Just turn your phone down a little bit because it's feedback, but I can hear you.
Well, it's a different phone, too, so hold on.
There we go. We're about to be in it. I'm going to say New York just because.
There you go. Because we had a rocky start. New York. Like New York.
There we go.
Okay, so are we good on sound?
We are good on sound. I can hear you perfectly.
Okay, good. Okay, so let's just get on and pop in. So like I said, this is my 113th show. I've celebrated people that have been extremely important to culture. You being one of them. I want to get you on here for a while, so I keep asking you, and I'm really glad that you found the time to do it. So.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I've seen a couple of episodes out of the 113. And I actually just watched the one you were doing some sales. You had that beautiful Versace H&M piece, and you were explaining how you got it and how you got into that whole moment. So, yeah, I enjoy seeing what's going on. I'm here, so let's do it. By the way, I just want to say you look amazing tonight, as always.
Thank you. I told you earlier, I had too much time to get ready, so I was like, first of all, it's you. I dressed for you. I was dressed for the guests. I dressed for you, but then I also had too much time. I was like, I kept putting on more stuff. So,
It's fine. Teach the kids.
So you're from Harlem, right?
Born and raised.
So Harlem is my favorite place on the planet. You know that. I mean, right? Like it's my favorite place in the world. I lived there for 21 years, and I would say I saw the old Harlem, the tail end of the old Harlem, and then the new Harlem. So I kind of got them all in a good way. And I would say too, 125th to me has always been the fashion show. It's always been on 125th Street. That's it. Like that's the best fashion show, I think. So.
Absolutely.
What do you think you learned? How did Harlem influence you?
Harlem is a part of everything that I do. It's funny that you would mention 125th. My freshman year in high school, I went to a school that's no longer there called Rice High School, which was right on the corner of 124th and Lenox. And after school, my friends and I would walk over to 125th Street. At the time, there was Rainbow Records. There was like a little fish shop, and there was a shoe store that sold Stacey Adams on the corner. And anybody that was anybody, between the Dapper Dan pieces happening right down the block, I guess I'm telling my age, but who cares? And places to get your gators and stuff like that. The fashions that were walking the streets, not to mention the street vendors and Mark 125, like, there was such a collective of uniqueness that was happening, especially in the 90s. Like, you could be inspired at every turn. You had people that were doing the conscious thing, and they had the leather medallions around their neck. You had the sisters with the bamboo earrings. I mean, hair was a big thing at the time. Color was huge. So you never missed anybody. And one of the things that I learned from Harlem was individuality, mostly. Like, everybody that lives there had style, but they had their own style. And as long as you were confident in your swagger, then, you were on and popping. So that's one of the things that I carried with me through my almost 20 years in the business. Like, I started with Alicia Keys. We grew up together. And that was our thing, you know, colored leathers and boots to match and things of that nature. Throw a little cup in it and really make it banshee. Like that whole thing was that was our way. And I still carry that to me. I carry that with me to this day. So
Well, everything you mentioned, including Stacey Adams, are things I still currently love. So all those things with that Leather Medallion, Stacey Adams, I love all that. So I've been going to the African flea market on 116th for like over 20 years, and they still act like they don't know me. I'm like, I've been coming here for 20 years. They're like, you know.
I was literally
one of my favorite places, by the way. Okay, so what's the first song, like as a really young kid, that kind of like you were like, oh my god, this is it? You mean?
Well, the first song that I can remember that's a tune that stands out in my head is As the Beat Goes On by the Whispers. But the first song that I can say that I identified with and it made me go further and want to explore, The Players Anthem by Junior Mafia.
Listen, it's one of my favorite songs of all time, by the way. Yes, I did a 10 best songs of all time, and I always put that on there. That and Diana Ross, Love Hangover. Those are like two of my favorite songs of all time.
Say less. It's a party already. New York.
Yes, exactly. Cheers to New York, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the 90s. What's the first video that I guess you kind of like that rocked your world, music video? Not Michael Jackson. No Michael Jackson.
Period, or as a stylist?
As a young person, before you were a stylist.
The first video that grabbed my attention, and you said it can't be Michael Jackson. Ironically, it's not Michael Jackson. It would probably be Raspberry Beret by Prince.
Oh, great video, by the way. I love that video.
Yeah.
Well, the only reason
whites and just his Lewis and Bond ensemble, you know, he's giving it to you.
Yeah, his like.
It was nothing
bad. The only reason I say no Michael Jackson is because everybody says Michael Jackson, so I want people to, dig deeper, basically. So
I love Michael and I love Prince separately. Michael is here, Prince is here, but Prince does something for me visually. It does a whole other thing.
I agree. So let me ask you this question. I don't know if you just answered it, but are you Prince or Michael? Who's number one, Prince or Michael for you? If you have to choose.
Do I have to choose?
You have no, you don't have to. You're the guest. I'll choose.
It's Prince for me.
Yeah, so I always say I'm 51-49. 51% Prince, 49% Michael, but Michael's right there, but I'm Prince too, so.
I can agree, and if I had to go back and break that down just a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and it's early Michael. The Going Places album for the Jackson 5, we started to get a little bit more musical. By the time we get to the Off the Wall album, the Thriller album, and the Bad album, all with Quincy Jones. The musicality in those albums is off the charts. So that's the Michael that I love. But Prince he's number one, hands down.
Well, I just heard Gotta Be Working Day and Night, or I don't know, Gotta Be Working Day and Night, like yesterday, and I said, I think this is maybe my favorite song. Like, I love that song. It's so good. So.
Oh, yeah.
And then if you have to pick a movie that either defined you as like a young person, or that, was like, really you were obsessed with as like, under 13, what movie would that be?
Little Shop of Horrors.
Interesting. It's interesting. I never saw that movie, and I just went to the play. MJ Rodriguez is in the play, and I just saw the whole thing for the first time this year. I've never seen the movie.
When we hang up, I want you to see it. I think it might be on YouTube. It might even be on Netflix. So the Ronettes opening, Tashina Arnold, Tisha Campbell at 16 years old, Michelle Weeks. That harmony right there, just to open the movie, you grab it at the come up, like dead. So you watch it, you tell me what it is for you. Okay. And at the time, was that a movie that other people liked, or were you kind of like on your own, kind of more unique in the fact that you love that movie? Me, Myself, and I Like a Beyonce Record, baby.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. I mean, I have an idea of who you were as a young person. You mean, and then who's the first black model you remember?
Rashamba.
Good one. I love her. She doesn't get a lot of credit either, right? She kind of gets like, yeah, she's amazing. And then, what's the first fashion moment you remember? Like, as a really young person.
My grandmother.
Like mine was Michael.
My grandmother. God bless her soul. She just passed away this year. She had a picture of herself at the Snowball in 1972, which was before I was born. But in the picture, she has on a white shift dress that goes down to the floor, and there were hearts cut out the side of the dress. No bra, no panties. She had drop earrings, and there were mink balls on the end. She had a huge afro, and her eyeshadow was white, and her lipstick was silver. And she had a little fur stole, but it was just hanging on the floor. That picture is actually what inspired me to begin my love affair with fashion overall. And it, to this day, I can vividly see it in my head.
You know, it's interesting. That's amazing, by the way. She sounds absolutely fabulous. It's most people have said their grandfather or grandmother. Like it's that generation. Something about that generation. You know, it's like that generation took more attention to their appearance, I think, than the next generation. You know, so that's really interesting. For me, mine was Michael Jackson moonwalking. I just remember thinking like those socks with that sequin jacket, and that I was just like that to me was the first time I was like, you know, I obviously was obsessed with the song and the dance, but the fashion of it. That was my personal first fashion moment. So. Okay, so we're talking about New York, as you know.
Cheers.
What's the first club you ever went to?
You really about to make me tell myself. So, the first club I ever went to was the Palladium, which doesn't exist anymore. So, when I was in high school, shout out to anybody that's on here from PPAS. I think I just saw Tara. I worked at a movie theater on 11th Street and 3rd Avenue. I was a part of the opening staff at that movie theater. And at the time, that was the place, that was the movie theater to go to if you wanted to impress your girlfriend or boyfriend, because it was a cool spot. And a lot of the security that worked at the Palladium used to bring their girlfriends there. And so I would hook them up with free tickets. I can say that now because I don't work there anymore.
Been over 20 years.
Exactly.
Now the place is open still.
Yeah, it actually is. But I used to get the kids, you know, the free soda, free popcorn, the whole hookup, so they were walking in very VIP. And that movie theater is very, very instrumental in my career. But that was the place where I, at 16, was able to slip through the doors. And that's actually the first and only time I ever got to see Biggie Smalls perform.
Amazing. And what was it like? Because, you know, I remember vividly when I walked into a club, that the very first time, the feeling. What was it like? How did you feel that very first time going into Palladium?
First of all, I came through the back door. So I hadn't embraced the club yet. But once I stepped in, it was such a huge space and the music was so loud. And at that time, you could smoke in the club. So there was the smell of the cigarettes. There was no hookah yet. We were doing cigarettes. You could smell the weed, thick clouds of smoke, and the lights just blaring, and the music was loud. And my first step in, I almost want to say I was dizzy because I had to catch myself. It was a new environment for me. But the moment that I calibrated and I realized where I was and the people that were around me, it was a wrap. And yeah, pretty much been going out.
And then what other clubs were popular around that time that you were going to?
I think Limelight was a jam. That's where
that was my first job. Limelight was my first job in New York.
That's where all the club kids were. You said New York. Cheers to you.
Oh yeah, that's right. Cheers. And then my other first job at the same time in New York was at Macy's department store on the floor 1.5. I love that job.
1.5 was the floor though. Like if you were doing anything style wise, it was 1.5.
I was playing.
I don't know who still does, but if you go there, that's the
I somehow took over the music and started DJing for the floor. I don't even know how. I was like 18 years old, and I started playing Biggie and Little Kim and all this stuff, and they were like, "What is going?" I made it. You know, we were playing Biggie when I got a clean version from Bad Boy of Biggie, and I insisted on playing it every day. So,
Well, cheers to you for making Macy's hot.
you know,
But yeah, it was a lot of limelight. There was the Palladium, and then things kind of shifted. I went away to college. Shout out to North Carolina Central University, Durham, North Carolina. Life changed. So by the time I got home, there was a lot of cheetahs, Justin's on a Monday night. Child, Bungalow. Like, all that started to happen. And that metronome, 21st Street was the shit. Before there was Slate, there was 21st Street, period. You shopped on 8th Street at Petit Paton, Untitled, all the dolls next door, caught a hot dog, dragged your ass home, took a shower, got ready for the night, and then you took it to 21st Street.
you're bringing me back. Listen, you're painting a very vivid picture of what it was like, too, by the way.
People don't even understand, like, before we even got there, like, before you got in the club, the party was on the street. The cars, everybody with their systems, the girls, like, dressed in their finest. Like, people really actually dressed to go out. Boys and girls, period, across the board. Like, if you didn't come out fly, don't waste your time, because you weren't even getting inside. That's actually how I met you. What was that club on Canal Street? Was it Canal Road?
Shine was called at the time.
Yeah, and you were doing the door down there, and it was like you would give people the once over. Very Studio 54 about it. But luckily, I was always able to get in.
Well, I would say I did the door like how you probably style. I do it vibe-wise. You know, I feel people's energies. It's way more of an energy thing. Obviously, if you look not the part, you're probably not getting in. But in general, if you're borderline and you have a certain energy, other people are based off energy, basically. So,
yeah, and the part. If you don't look it, you're not getting in. There is no guest list today.
What is your first memory of me? Do you remember, or exactly? Or
I do. I remember trying to get into that club, and you were at the door, and you were dressed fabulously. And at first, I couldn't see you because there were people hovering around you, but you immediately were dismissing people. They had to go. And as I moved to the front, I was like, fuck, am I going to be next? And I was like, no, just keep a straight face. You remember the whole fake, like, look at your cell phone? That's when cell phones were, like, new. So if you had a cell phone, you were somewhere near where you were supposed to be. And it was very check your phone because somebody's calling. And I was like, if I'm getting a phone call, then I'm going to look like I'm on the list. And ironically enough, I had gotten to the door, and you didn't even give me any problems. I said hi, you said hi, and at that point, I was probably at the club more often than not, and it started there.
I remember. I remember that vividly too. But like I said, it's a vibe thing. I think you came up with a great vibe. You know, you were just, it's your vibe. That's what it was. But I remember too, now that you say it, I remember the first time I could Google someone, because people used to always say, oh, I'm, you know, Jay-Z's brother, or I'm so-and-so's this thing. And as soon as you could Google it, it was like, it changed my world. I would Google it and be like, no, this is Jay-Z's brother, not you. This is Jay-Z's brother. I remember like, that was kind of like, I don't know, around when Google started, but I remember being able to Google things and show people at the door and be like, you're lying, you know, so. And then how did you start styling exactly? What's the story?
So Rice High School lasted a year. It was an all-boys school, super boring, but shout out to them. Wasn't my jam. And it was time to go. I ended up at Professional Performing Arts School, and once I got there, I met a young lady named Alicia. We went to high school together, and it was a running joke that she would become a famous singer one day, and I would dress her. But that's the power of manifestation. Because she became a famous singer. You guys know her as Alicia Keys, and I became a stylist.
Wow, amazing. I mean, I know that story, but so I love to hear that. It's like I had Ty Hunter on here, and I know the whole story. I just like hearing it again and again, you know? So how was it in the beginning for you? You guys were kind of, you know, figuring out as you went along, or how was it in the very beginning?
For me, it was like being thrown into a world of what is going on. Because her career was already moving by the time I joined. So it kind of happened serendipitously. I was having lunch with her mom, and we were talking about where my life was going, and her phone rang, and it was Alicia calling her mom and saying to her, if you get in touch with Wouri, give me a call and let him know I'm looking for him. And she was like, oh, that's funny. He's sitting right here. We start talking, and she's like, will you go on tour with me? And I was like, hell yeah. I didn't know what I was getting into. And I went on tour for 2 years, and I learned a lot because it was just me. But thank God I was sent angels like Misa Hilton, who has guided me and still guides me to this day. If I have problems with anything, she is there for me. Patty Wilson, who ironically, both of them are Capricorn women, and I'm a Capricorn as well. So like you said, vibration-wise, we were able to just gel, and I learned so much from those women, and still to this day.
I love both of them very much. I think they're both amazing women, and they get credit, but they don't get even enough credit. I think they should. They both both of them deserve to be as well known as Anna Wintour or something to me. So.
Oh, absolutely. Patty walked through doors that people could never, and so quiet about it.
Yep. So what do you think in the beginning years? What did you learn from Alicia, kind of initially, as you were styling her, not like as a friend? I mean, what did you learn?
Everything. I say that I went to the school of Alicia. She was my first client. It was a lot. You learn imagery. You learn, how to read a treatment. You learn the business of styling. It all happened, going through those doors and just really taking it all in. I mean, before that, I wasn't buying women's undergarments. I knew nothing of the sort. But now, I know how to dress the girls in the finest garb and make sure they look like that. So yeah, I learned.
And then, what do you think that she learned from you, or that maybe you taught her in that time as well? I'm sure that she learned from you. You don't want to answer that question. It's true.
She learned. If I had to say anything, I think she learned her body, and not in the physical sense, but how to dress her body and what her body type is, and what things work, what things don't, how to take the things that you don't necessarily like about your body and work around them, and, always come out in a fabulous way.
Well,
I remember the expression, because that's something now. She's very expressive.
I remember seeing you guys together for so many years, just you could tell that you guys were very connected, and it wasn't like a stylist and an artist. It was like two people creating as a team and working together. But really, I saw you guys out for so many years, and it seemed like you guys were out as friends, not as working things. So, that vibe came across. And I got to meet her, recently through Swizz in the last couple of years, and she's just such a chill, grounded person that she understands what it is. Like, she's not like, I'm Alicia Keys. She's like, we're all in this. I don't know, something about her is very grounded in a great way. So.
Yeah.
So when was the moment you started to think like, wow, I'm becoming successful at styling?
When do I think I was becoming successful at it?
Yeah, when do you start to have your moment, like, wow, I think this is really becoming something?
2007, when Alicia made the Vanity Fair's Best Dressed list at the Oscars.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, people actually see what I do.
Oh, amazing. And then, so basically, I think that the way that the artists you work with and the way that you do things is very you. To me, you're so grounded, and you're so, I could close my eyes and feel you sitting over here. You have a very, not strong energy, but you have a very, very you energy that's very, grounded and honest and spiritual and all these different things. So, for you to work with all these different artists, every artist you work with, it always makes sense that you and them work together because they're like that too, I think so. You're working with Andra and her right now, Andra Day being this amazing human that we both know. I did her first showcase at Warner, maybe 2015 or something, and we got to know each other. And she's not about the BS. She's about the work. She's about, being real, and her voice is outrageous. Her voice is outrageous. And she also, that's what I asked you something interesting too. She came in the game with a very unique sense of style already. You know, she had the Andrew Day style to me. So how did y'all collaborate and, you know, with that?
So Andrew came to me, again, things happened the way they're supposed to in my career.
Yep.
She came at a point in time where I had stopped styling and I was actually consulting with different businesses, but I said a prayer to God and I asked him if he brought clients to me, let them be knowing of him, but similar to me. And one of the clients I was consulting for was like, I think you should just style this girl. She's really amazing. Like, you'll love her. And I was like, girl, I'm not doing no styling right now. I'm not in the mood for that. But, you know, whatever you need, I'll help you get her set up. I know tons of stylists. We can find somebody great for her. And, you know, I'll just keep it moving. And I was shooting the Tracy Ellis Ross cover for Essence Magazine in LA, one of the covers that I did. And they asked me to stay a couple of days because they had a new girl who they needed to take portraits of. I had no idea who it was. The conversation about Andrew had just taken place like a day before. And I get to set, and I basically used the rack from Tracy and transferred it over. You know how that goes. And the girl walks in, and it's Andra. And she's a Capricorn. Her birthday's 3 days after mine. And the first thing that she wanted to do before we even started the shoot, she held hands with me and she prayed.
I love her. I love her.
And I was like, you got me. I was like, I'm done. You got me. Like that's it. You literally, God brought my prayers to me. And it's funny that you call it Andrew Day style because when we first started, everything that came out of her closet was thrifted. The budget was low. We were shopping in the vintage stores. We were getting the $2 shirts, and thank God for Bishmi Karamarti because he would take a little shirt and sew it up for me and do it at the drop of a dime for a quarter. You know what I mean? And through time, we evolved. And the first thing that she ever had loaned to her were a pair of Marquesa shoes for the BET Awards. And that was like the biggest thing for us because we have been dressing her all along. Like I was making her clothes with Julie Molo and Bishmi, and they would just sew stuff up. And there was a vintage store that was across the street from Patricia Fields when she was on Bowery. And we would just go in, and the budget was like $1,000. I would take it and shop it because I could do so much more with $1,000 than trying to go get a piece of Versace. You know, it just didn't work. So we did that. And at that time, she was very into her scarves. And, you know, that was the thing because nobody understood it. And here she is with the scarves. And I remember we went to the Michael and Kelly show at the time, and she wanted to wear sponge rollers in her hair. And the label was flipping. Like, she can't go on national TV with rollers in her hair. And Andrew was like you said, she's no nonsense. She was like, I'm wearing these rollers, and that's that, and we're done. And she wore her rollers, and then the next month, Solange's album came out with hair clips in her hair, and it was like, oh my God, Andrew, you're onto something. And after that, they left us alone, and they let us do us, and that's what you see today.
Well, okay, first, we go on and on about her. I genuinely love her. She's an amazing human. But I like that about her, too, is that she really did come in with a really good sense of style, which a lot of artists don't.
Right.
But she's also, like you guys are very similar. I was thinking about it today. She's very humble, like you, but she's also not about the BS, like you. You know, she's like, you know, I love that about her. And, you know, I remember at the very beginning, people also, like, maybe, I don't think you were working with her again, at the very beginning, like, they were saying, you know, they didn't like her look. And I kept saying, I love her look. I loved her from the very beginning. You know? First of all, she's gorgeous. Let's start there. You know, so. All right, so yeah, I love her. And then so you also work with her, HER. I don't know her at all, but I don't like. Tell me about her. What's that experience like? How's it going? You know,
her having everything revealed. One more time for the people in the back. Having everything revealed. HER, fantastic, beautiful woman. I've known her since she was 11, 12 years old. Before she was her. Funny story. The label called. And I literally am half her age. And when they called, they were like, you know, we really want you to work with this young lady. And I was like, I've known her forever, but she's young. She might want somebody, you know, young on her side. And so on and so forth. We got on the phone and it felt like we've been together forever. Like legit, we show up and we'll probably be wearing the same color, same kicks. Like the vibe is all the way there. And I love it because both girls are different sides of me. Like Andrea, we get crazy, we get wild, and you know, her, she's that street style chic girl that pulls it up every once in a while, but she'll give you a great sweatsuit and make it work some way, somehow. Obviously, you know, like so it's there. She's really dope, and shout out to both of them. Andrew's got her movie coming out, U.S. versus Billie Holiday. That's dropping in February. Her was just nominated for 3 Grammys. So the girls are out here. They're working. I'm working. Thank God. And yeah, the music is great. Both are getting ready to drop albums. I've heard both sets of music. Sickening. So yeah.
I've heard Andrew's movie is unbelievable, and they're already saying that she might get nominated. So I've been hearing about that movie for honestly 6 months or a year or something. I've heard she's so incredible. She plays Billie Holiday.
Yeah.
And then her, what sign is her?
Her is a Cancer.
Just wondering, because again, she has a laid-back approach. Again, I don't know her personally, but she has a very laid-back approach to things, and she seems to be about the art and the craft, very similar to you. So you really are aligned with these people that you ask God to put you in. So it's literally just that. So
Absolutely.
Okay, so I want to talk about what's going on now. You know, like I think for me, it's so great to see the Laws, the Jason Rembrandts, the Waymans, the Micahs doing so well and coming into their own in the last couple of years. You know, isn't it kind of great to see that like next generation of stylists really kind of blossoming before our eyes?
I love everything that they're doing. The people that you named are really dope people, and I've known each of them since the beginning of their career. Jason actually used to work with me. Yeah, so, you know, to see Law come from Chicago when he was doing his estate sales and running his consignment shop, he's always had the eye, you know, and now with Zendaya as his muse and all the people that he's touched in Hollywood, great job. Even Wayman and Micah, like, they've come so far. I've watched them from when they first moved to New York and first moved to LA, and they've taken the reins, and, you know, everybody's found their style and their aesthetic, and they're comfortable in their skin and the way that they style and how they bring it to the table. Super proud of Jason and what he's done with his line, Aliette. I've definitely worked close with him a few times for my clients, and he's superseded anything that I could have ever imagined for him. And what I love the most is that I always had a rule that if you left me, you had to replace you with someone like you, because I work in a very tight environment. And when you leave, you have to teach someone to be better than you were. And he's literally somebody that has done that 10 times over. The people that come from his lineage are doing their thing. And it's just really, really great to see. So yeah, I'm proud of all those guys. And even the women too, Addie Samuel, she's super creative, super dope. She worked with me for a while. Serena Akers, like the girls are out here giving the business too.
Well, the thing is, too, though, I know all of the guys you mentioned. I know them all for a really long time, and they're great guys. So I like when good things happen.
I'm sorry, real quick. Shout out to Jamie Gitwitz, and I see she worked with me back in the day, and I see Brandon, who currently works with me on here. She was always the rule, exactly, Jamie. You know what time it is.
I was saying about the guys. I know all the guys personally. I don't know the 2 girls, but I know all the guys personally, and they're great guys. So I love when good things happen to good people. Is what I'm saying. You know, so I'm happy for them. So you mentioned Patty Wilson, Misa, the June Ambroses of the world. How important were they when you were coming up? And did anybody mentor you? And have you mentored anybody in the passing of the guard, whatever you mean?
Absolutely, yeah. Patty and Misa were and are, like, Misa's still my mentor. Patty definitely guided me a long way. She taught me the art of public relations and high fashion. And Misa always taught me to hone in on my actual creative skill and creating and making what you see in your head come to life and having that vision and not being bullied by the pressure of the industry. And I've taken that and yeah, most of the people that we just talked about at some point in time or another, they've come across my table. So, but yeah, Jason, we still work very closely. I am to him like Misa is to me.
Great.
Addie Samuel still, and I've got great people that work with me. DeAndre DaCosta is a great friend of mine, and he gives me groundation out there in the world. And then I've got two awesome guys that work with me now as well, Nick and Brandon. And yeah, the team is strong. I would also say that my agent is one of my mentors who he pushes me. He pushes me in a different way. Ernest Montgomery. He's been around for a long time, and he just, I don't know, he's different. He understands me in a way that most people don't.
Are you on any of the diversity councils that have popped up recently?
No.
Okay, so I want to ask you a question. So, how do you feel about all the diversity councils that have popped up and the kind of like new interest in Black designers? I guess let's say those two things. Like, how do you feel about that? What's happening right now? Let's say currently in fashion, and be honest, because I have a lot to say too. So. Yeah, say what. I'll talk. You want me to talk? I'll say it.
I got you.
Okay.
I think the diversity councils are amazing. I think it's great because it brings light to a needed topic. But the reality, it feels very trendy. Very, very trendy. Now it's cool to be Black. Now it's cool to have a Black designer. Now it's cool to pull from the Black kids. And if you're wearing Black, then you're doing the right thing. And for me personally, it feels very affirmative action, but we'll take it. We'll take it because we need the exposure, because we need the economic opportunity so that we can breed other opportunities for the culture to grow. But the reality is it's nothing new. It's been there. I'm actually sitting with an amazing designer, Patrick Cupid, right now. Shout out to Brandis Daniel, who founded Harlem's Fashion Row and has been highlighting Black designers and designers of color for years, and taking a chance and honing in. Years ago, before he was Laquan Smith that we all know, I met him when he was 19 years old. He had one dress, but I had conversations with him. I did a photo shoot with Amber Rose, and I'm like, come on in. I want you to do all the clothes for this shoot. But in this conversation, I'm going to be honest with you. I need you to finish your garments. I want you to make things so that if I put it on the rack next to Dolce & Gabbana, it stands a chance. And we're not looking at the fact that you're Black. We're looking at the fact that you're talented. I remember with Melody Asani, and she came and only had a couple of pair of door knocker earrings, and I put them on Alicia Keys for the Super Bowl, and the kids went crazy, and now she's doing deals with Jordan, and this one and that one. She's got her own stores. So it's been there. We've been doing it, but now it's being recognized, and we'll take it because the kids need the checks. They got to eat, but it's very, very trendy, to say the least.
Well, a couple of things. This is just in my opinion, I said this, and like, if you were doing a diversity council 5 years ago, that I could get behind. I feel like they're only doing it now because they're forced to do it. So it's inauthentic, but again, good will come out of it. So it is a good thing that good will come out of it. But I feel like they got backed against the wall. That's why they're doing it. But good will come out of it. So that's what I think.
So I'll say this: the same approach that you took to the door when you would surface the energy and survey and see who was who and who was doing what. That's where I'm at with it right now. I know who's in it for what reason, and I will use alliances to the better of my community and my culture, but we're not going to use it to, demean the culture, if you will. There are people that are literally joining the conversation because they don't want to be that person on the other side of the meme. Like, I'm not like that. So,
Anyway, so, and I like, so Laquan Smith, I met him at Gold Bar when he was 17. He came in wearing high heels. He had made this girl was sitting next to me. She had this really cute top. I said, your top is so cute. She goes, my friend Laquan made it. So I've known Laquan since he was 17. And he's doing so well. I'm very, very, extremely happy for him. Okay, are you an optimist or a pessimist?
Optimist or pessimist? Optimistic, always.
What's the song that gets you on the dance floor every time?
I don't know if it's a song or the vodka. But
Good.
depends on where we're at, but it's the Benjamins for me. It's definitely the Benjamins.
Yep. And if the DJ cuts a little Kim part, I want to throw a tomato at him, right? Like
I need
a little Kim part.
I need all of them.
What's the last song you listened to, like today or yesterday, or whatever?
A song called "We'll Always Have Paris" by Alex Isley.
3 best parties of all time.
3 best parties of all time. Diddy's birthday party 2008 at M16, M2. What was the name of that club? Oh, God.
M2.
The one where the whole voter die campaign going on. And
I was there.
Taraji and I left that party extremely drunk.
Hello, every human did. So did I. So did you. All did. Just you two. Just you two left drunk.
Exactly. That's one. Alicia Keys had a Wu-Tang themed birthday party where they were roller skating inside of Hero on 16th Street.
Yep.
That was pretty insane.
Yeah.
Listen, Alicia throw dope parties.
Yes,
and I have to say, my last birthday party, December 27th, 2019, the Originals, down on 15th Street just last year. Oh my God, that was epic. And if I could just add one more as a bonus, Homecoming 2019 at North Carolina Central University, I celebrated 20 years of my fraternity, Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, and we had D-Nice as the DJ, and we celebrated with the Deltas. Ninth Wonder and D-Nice were the DJs that night, so that is self-explanatory.
Well, speaking of D-Nice, I have said this too. I'm like, actually Swiss said it. Swiss said at the beginning of the pandemic, he said, isn't it interesting? It got real the first couple of weeks. It went right back to music, right back to DJs, right back to art. So, I'm sure you can relate to that. The reality is it's gotten everything back to the realness of it all. I mean, all that BS got thrown to the side the last 6 months or 8, 10 months, whatever. It got right back to the core of everything, which is people like you and I, the authentic ones, the creators, the creatives, the influencers, all that stuff. The actual real influencers, not the influencers. That's me on my soapbox. But 3 biggest fashion moments ever. Doesn't have to be yours, could be yours, whatever.
My grandmother at the Snowball. Little Kim with the one titty out.
Good one, great one.
What's the third one for me? I don't know. Kind of stuck on that one. I don't know what the third one would be.
We can come back to it.
Yeah.
If you could have 4 people to dinner, living or dead, who would they be? Anybody?
I'd love to sit with Diana Vreeland.
Great.
I would love to put Misa at that table right next to Diana Vreeland. Is it 4 people including myself?
Mm-hmm.
I'd bring my mother to that dinner.
Good.
Because she would just read everybody. So yeah, my mother, Diana, Misa, and I don't know. Oddly enough, I probably would bring Khalees.
Good. I want to come to that dinner. First of all, I want to come to that dinner.
We'd be hosting it together because it would be legendary.
I want to invite. Those are 4 women that I don't know your mother, but she sounds fabulous. 4 women that are fabulous.
Absolutely.
What are you grateful right now in life for?
Life.
Good. What inspires you right now in life?
Life.
Okay, great answers. And then, so last question, we're in pandemic, you seem to be working, but a lot of people are not working. How can we support you, your brand, or anybody close to you right now?
Well, there's a few things. In a matter of weeks, I will be dropping candles. which they smell amazing. We've got 3 different fragrances coming out. Vice by Vice, Vice, Byvice. You can follow that on Instagram to see the journey. The link will be going up soon. I love candles. I love fragrance. And I am excited to share that part of my journey with people. And then there's We Are Not Afraid, which is a organization that feeds the homeless and takes care of the homeless here in New York City. My best friend actually operates it every Saturday. He goes out and he's providing home-cooked meals to the homeless. And their Instagram is We Are Not Afraid, SWG. My birthday is coming up, and I'm going to be putting their Zelle in my stories. And if people ask me what I want for my birthday, I want them to donate to that cause because I feel like it's a time for people to give back. So
I'll post it as well if you want. All right, so I want to thank you very much for doing this. Like I said, it's my 113th episode. I've been asking for the past 2 months. Cheers to you. We celebrate people here that have been important to culture. You've been so important to culture in the fact that you have remained true to yourself the whole time. You've been humble the whole time, and you've been constantly giving back and kind of been like a oracle just kind of going through you. The creativity is going through you to people under, the people coming up below, beneath you, and then also the artists. I can tell it's just coming through you. And you've been a really great example, I think, for people to look up to you in the way that you looked up to me in them. I think you've been a really great example. I've known you for 20 years. You've been the exact same person. You never changed one bit. You are yourself at all times. And you're a real artist. I just want to really celebrate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much. And I just want to say you've always been consistently you, and I love you for it. Keep doing it. Keep shining. Keep showing people that being individual is what it's all about. Being authentic is what it's all about. All of that, people can't make that up. It's what you do.
Thank you. I love you, and I'm really glad we did this.
Absolutely. I'll talk to
Have a
you.
good night. Have a safe travels.